Go.
I'm Alex Raymond, Vice President of Asia Pacific for SumTotal Systems. And what I'd like to talk about today are some of the key trends that we see in employee performance management, specifically with relevance to companies in Hong Kong. There are lots of challenges that companies face, but one of the most pressing today is that of high employee turnover, with unemployment rates so low today in Hong Kong and very high vacancy rates. And it's also taking companies a very long time to fill certain key positions. What we're looking at are vacancy rates of anywhere between 5 and 20%, depending on the sector that companies are in. Now, when it takes anywhere from 3 to 12 months to replace someone, and that can cost up to 150% of their salary, that's a very big challenge for companies to be facing, and therefore they're looking for ways to make sure that they are retaining the best people in their jobs to minimize the employee turnover that they have. Now, let's take a look real quick at why people leave their jobs and what are the reasons that motivate people to go looking for another job. The top 3 reasons that we've identified are pretty straightforward, and they won't be a surprise to you. The third most prevalent reason that people leave their job is for better pay. They think that they can have better opportunities and more pay if they go elsewhere. The second most important reason cited for people leaving their jobs is for training and development opportunities that they feel might be better somewhere else. So those are 2 quite obvious reasons for people leaving their jobs. The most often cited reason that people leave their jobs, and this is true in Hong Kong, it's true in other parts of Asia, and it's true in other parts of the world, is that they don't feel the alignment between their job and their role and the corporate goals and objectives. What that means is that people don't see on a day-to-day basis how it is that their contributions and the tasks that they're performing link in to the bigger picture of the company. That's obviously something that companies are trying to address, and they're trying to address the pay, the training, and obviously the alignment part very closely. And what they're doing is they're investing in a number of performance, talent, and learning management systems and tools that help them to do a couple of things. It helps them to improve the performance of the organization, it helps them to increase the engagement of the employee base, and it helps them to retain competitive advantage when it comes to their people. So now what I'd like to do is take you through some specific steps that SumTotal recommends when rolling out an employee performance management system. So let's say that a company wants to start looking at employee performance management and needs to know how to get started and what the key steps are. What I'm going to do right now is walk through what we've identified as the 10 steps to getting started, and a lot more detail on that can be found in this book that I have right here called Talent Management for Dummies. This is available from the SumTotal Systems website. And so just quickly to summarize these 10 steps. First is to determine the driver for the performance management. Is it retention, performance, growth, or succession planning? What is it that's causing the basic need? Now that we understand the need, what's the strategy of the organization from a business perspective? What's the company trying to do, and what markets is it trying to operate in? Now that the strategy has been identified, how do the business units that make up the company align in terms of being able to execute on that strategy? At a corporate level, it's very important to understand these 2. Finally, coming down to step number 4, how do we identify the people and the roles that we need in the organization to help to support the company? That means the individuals, understanding what job roles are, understanding what the key roles are within the organization, and also what skills and competencies are needed for people to be effective in those roles. Point number 5, how do we set a clear series of benchmarks to evaluate people consistently across all jobs in the organization and all skill and competency areas? Step number 6 is fit, and that means let's make sure that we're communicating very clearly to the employees where they fit in the organization and how the job that they do relates back to the organization. Number 7, let's take the opportunity to invest in the growth of people, and that means investing in training and development opportunities, giving them the ability to acquire new skills and competencies to help not only their careers and obviously also the company. 8 is to very clearly make the link between performance and skills and make sure that we're evaluating both of those throughout the year. Step number 9 would be, how do we take the skills and competencies that we've developed and turn them into repeatable behaviors that help the company behave and operate in a consistent manner? Finally, the last point is to monitor gaps over time, and as the company evolves and the strategy evolves and changes, we'll have to make sure that we're keeping on top of understanding what the requirements are from a personnel and from an HR support side, and making sure that any gaps that come up or any issues that come up, we're able to identify and address those as soon as possible. So to summarize, let me put this in the context of talent management. And when we consider talent management, I'm really talking about 5 separate elements that make up what we would call talent management. The first would be recruiting, and making sure that once we've identified the important roles in the organization and we know what competencies are required for those roles, we're able to attract and recruit the right people to come in and take on those specific roles. Secondly would be learning, and to make sure that through learning and development opportunities we're reinforcing the new recruits and the people who come on board in the organization to make sure that they have everything they need to do their jobs effectively. Performance means how we automate the performance appraisal cycle and how we make sure that we're making the best use of technology and processes to make that as efficient and effective as possible. Succession and workforce planning involves making sure that we understand who in the organization might need shifting to different roles, what the timelines for those are, and to make sure that we have good, what we call bench strength, to make sure that we have people that we can allocate into new roles as required. And finally, on the compensation side, take a look at what we call pay for performance, and make sure that we have not only the benchmarks and the criteria for establishing who is performing well, but that we also have the mechanism to make sure that the best performers are paid appropriately and adequately based on the results of the company. So to summarize, what we looked at was a number of the facets of employee performance management, specifically how they can help a company to reduce the high turnover rate that it might be experiencing here in Hong Kong. We also talked about what the drivers are for that turnover and how tools in talent management can help to address that, specifically learning, pay for performance, and alignment with the organization. We walked through the 10 ways to get started on this and to really start to address the challenge of employee performance management within an organization. And then finally, to summarize what we did is we took a look at talent management in general to understand how the broader picture can get applied to a variety of corporate situations. So what I'd like to do is remind you that if you're interested to learn more, please visit our website, www.SumTotalSystems.com. Take a look at the Talent Management for Dummies guidebook, which will help to explain in a lot more detail everything that we went over today. Thank you.